Hello there, this is Nathan from Switch Player, and welcome to a very special Mario 35th anniversary podcast. This time, we are going to be discussing our kind of memories of Mario, growing up with him, and the recently released 3D Mario All-Stars collection. And this time, I am joined by a special little group. Guys, feel free to introduce yourselves. John, starting with you.
Hey everybody, I'm John Reid. I have been with Switch Player magazine for a couple of years now. I do occasional reviews and things like that.
Lovely stuff. Ben?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ben. I'm at Switch Player. I've been at Switch Player, I think, judging from the number of copies I have, around 6 months. I'm currently the deputy editor at Switch Player.
Lovely. And Ethan?
My name's Ethan Hunt, not like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, but I wish I was like that, but never mind. And I am one of the writers at Switch Player. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now, which is absolutely mental because it feels like yesterday. And I can't even believe the Switch has been out for that long, but yeah.
Yeah, God, we're due Switch Pro magazine soon, aren't we?
I know, yeah.
Are we going to upgrade with it?
Oh, yeah.
My one's falling to bits. It's about time.
Yeah. Oh, you got a launch Switch still?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got that sweet Animal Crossing one, man. It looks good. I can't believe I've never made the Ethan Hunt connection, and I'm really annoyed I never have either. I'm so sorry.
I was talking to my mum about it the other day, and apparently my parents, I mean, not to go down this rabbit hole, but my parents said that they went to see the film, because the film came out a few months before I was born, the original, and they went to see the film, and my mum was like, oh, we can't call him that now, and my dad was like, oh, don't worry, it won't be a cult film. And then here we are, like 6 films later, so...
Mission Impossible 7 coming next year.
Decent name, Mike, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's a fictional character, so he can't really turn out to be a wrong'un.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
But at least it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
as well.
Mm-hmm.
It could be worse.
I am quite a bit taller than him as well, so at least I might not be an action hero, but at least I've got the height advantage over Tom Cruise.
I mean, he's only 5'7", but do you know who else is short? Mario. We think.
Hey, what a transition.
I don't know how relative he is to humans. Is Odyssey what we go by? Is that the rules?
That makes him about 1.5 foot, doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
It's quite frightening.
What I wanted to do before we dive into a little chat about the 3D Mario All-Star Collection is I wanted to start on a good note, and I wanted to get from everyone kind of your first memories of Nintendo and Mario, because they kind of come as one thing, don't they? Really? I mean, other than we're probably all about the same age where we started playing on like Pokemon or maybe Star Fox or things like that. But I'd love to hear the first time you played a Mario game and kind of what that meant to you growing up. If you grew up with it, obviously. Some of us might have just started playing Mario a couple of years ago. All right, who wants to go first? Who's got a good one?
I suppose I'll kick off. I remember playing Donkey Kong at the arcades. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a young'un. And it was kind of, there was a load of arcade games at the time. It wasn't specifically Mario that stuck out or anything, but there was the Mario versus machines in the arcades eventually as well. So you could actually play the classic Super Mario Brothers along there as well. But it was one Christmas, I got the NES from my parents, and it came with Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles and Super Mario Brothers 2 with the Mario Madness on the front and everything. And that was it. I was hooked from there. Because even that, as a kind of your first proper Mario game, people give it a lot of hate unnecessarily, I think, because that's actually, as a game, as an adventure game on the NES at that time, it really stands up. So there, Mario found his way in my heart. And then after that, it was the launch of Super Mario Brothers 3, which was on TV. I don't know if any of you guys remember the advert, but it was like people all around the world shouting, Mario, Mario to the sky. And then it zooms out and there's a picture of Mario's face on the earth because of everybody standing around. And I was like, I've got to get that game. And it came out just around the time of my birthday. So that was a shoo-in and absolutely blew me away, that game. So yeah, Mario, I've been there from the very early days. It's
Did you watch the Wizard? Because I know that a lot of like people around that time in America, they saw it for the first time, The Wizard, didn't they? But I was just wondering whether people in the UK watched that film.
I did watch The Wizard. I did. Didn't make me want to go and buy the game separately because I was already into things like computer and video games magazines and stuff like that. So I was kind of already on the scene, and I didn't need Fred Savage telling me to go out and buy a Nintendo. So I think in The Wizard, I think they did overestimate the power of the Nintendo Power Glove. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I
again,
don't think he's
oh
got any
my god, he's
powers.
got the glove, and he's just like that, like, oh, it's the best thing ever, mate. And then you tried one, it's awful.
I mean, this is Nintendo. They do a load of mad stuff. Sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's a virtual boy.
Ooh,
Oh,
the Slim's fighting words already.
I
There you go.
just mean it doesn't always land. I didn't say it was bad. I just means it doesn't always work. Speaking of adverts, has everyone seen the SNES advert with Paul Rudd?
No.
I have.
Oh,
I've
man.
quite recently though. I've seen flickerings of that. Yeah.
Treat
yeah.
yourself. Paul Rudd is a young
I've
actor.
seen the Pitfall one with Jack Black. Have you seen that? I've not seen the
what? No.
Jack Black did a Pitfall advert for Atari when he was like 8 or 9 or something.
That's
quite
amazing.
good.
And
Yeah.
I've seen the Legend of Zelda adverts with Rick Mayall. That is
Oh, yeah.
incredible.
They are.
All
They're incredible.
adverts were brilliant.
Yeah. Next time you're Rick Mayall, play the Legend of Zelda. Right, go on, Ben. Kick us off with your memories.
Yeah, I think my earliest memory really is that that started on a good one. Super Mario World was my one that I began on. I think it was. I remember going to Woolworths so often trying to get it and it not being available, and then I remember actually getting it and going home and just play through it again and again and again, and it just didn't stop. It was an endless cycle of Super Mario World for weeks. Beautiful. God, what a time.
Yeah, I was a Sega kid first. Don't judge me. I won't be judged for this. And I played Sonic loads, and Sonic was really fun, but it's not a fun game to play over and over. You get to a certain point of like, well, I've either completed it or it's annoying. And after playing Super Mario World around mates, I just remember this revelation of like, this game's amazing to play all the time, and I want to get all the secrets and stuff. Like that as a kid, we were spoilt to have that as kids. That's because it's still one of the best games ever made. It's really interesting to think of that.
That's always been my thing, because the whole thing about the Sega Mega Drive was it was the cooler, edgier console to Super Nintendo, and it compared Sonic to Mario when they finally released it. It's like Sonic's this super fast game; it renders really quickly and stuff. No doubt about it. It's a technical marvel for the Mega Drive in that way, but then the game itself, Sonic the Hedgehog, is all about going fast, and they encourage you to go fast and go fast, 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 fast. And as soon as you go fast, 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 they put some spikes in your way. Now,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not a level designer, but I think that maybe that's kind of going against the odds. It's like, now you're doing the thing we want you to, we're going to punish you hard.
I will fight back a little bit as a Sonic fan, and it's a very arcade experience, and the whole point of it is to learn the levels. You know, you know, like you're playing something like Kid Icarus and stuff. You've got to learn how to deal with it, and then it becomes more fun to revisit. But this isn't a Sonic podcast. This is a Mario podcast. Go on, Ethan. You're a little bit younger. What did you play first? Super Mario Galaxy or? Oh, hang on. Your audio's gone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Go on. Start again.
The Sega was trying to silence me because I was about to talk down on the Blue Hedgehog, but no, just a quick one on that Sega, the whole Sega thing as well. I don't know if you've read it, but I was just listening to that audio about that console wars where they go on about the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and they were saying about how loads of people thought Sonic was the better game at the time because of the speed. And I was just listening to it, and I was thinking, like, they were saying, like, oh, Super Mario World is amazing because it had, like, these new elements that they'd added from the NES. But then it was still the laboured plumber, the slow plumber. And I just think, well, I mean, I would much rather play Super Mario World than Sonic, even though I do like Sonic. But I just find it interesting that people equated, like, the fast-paced blast processing as like a better game. But so I'm a little bit of a young boy, so I had the PS1 was my first console, and then I had the Nintendo as the handhelds until I ended up getting a GameCube, and then from there I've just had all the Nintendo stuff. But my first Mario game, I definitely would have played World or one of the originals, but in terms of my actual first one I had, it was actually Super Circuit on the GBA, which me and my brother played on the link cables. At first we just had it, if one person had the game, you could play as the different colour Yoshis connected, and then when we both got it, we connected fully up. And then after that I went back and got the Super Mario Advance ones, which is quite good really, because even though I was a little bit younger, I could still play all those great games on the GBA. So I got Super Mario World through that, the version with Luigi having the extra jump and all that, and the voices and stuff. And then ever since then, just buying every single thing with Mario on it that I can see.
Yeah, no, all those Game Boy Advance versions are really good versions. I bought quite a lot of those at the time, and a lot of the NES re-releases as well. God, we talk now moaning about Mario coming out in a collection. Remember when they were charging us for NES games on a GBA? Do you remember that?
It's a full price game each time.
Exactly. It's
as if you feel like you're getting a new game with that though, because a lot of the SNES games, like graphically, there's a comparison to be made between like the SNES and the GBA graphics. So I think some, like me, for example, until I'd gone and done the research, I'd just pop the game in and think it was a brand new Mario game.
Yeah, and they look so good on the Game Boy Advance screen.
They do.
I love that Super Circuit is the first one you played.
Yeah, it's a banger that as well. It's a class game.
I played it, but I don't think I played Mario Kart properly till I played Mario Kart 64. We never had it on the SNES, and I think I played Super Circuit with a friend or something. But Mario 64 was when I was like, oh wow, this is it. This is amazing. I think we had like some real family fallouts over that game. It was incredible. And then, oh my god, Double Dash just got even worse. I'm trying to think now of what my earliest Mario memory is. I think mine is probably, because I remember before I kind of knew about Nintendo as much as I did, I still kind of had it on the peripheral. I remember a mate had a SNES and they had Star Fox, and I went around and I saw that, and that was really cool. But people started getting Game Boys, and people were playing Tetris, and I kind of saw Mario, and I remember nagging my nan to get me a Game Boy because I think we'd just gone on holiday and we were walking back and walking through duty free, and I saw a Game Boy Pocket, like, you know, the little see-through one.
Yeah.
I like, those are really cool, and I was nagging her because I was 10 and wanted a Game Boy, and because I'd been good on holiday, she actually bought me this Game Boy and Yoshi's Cookie, which was a bad game. So then I had to nag my parents to get me a Mario game, and they got me 6 golden coins, which was my first proper experience with a Mario game of my own. And then I was like, okay, now we have to get Nintendo stuff. I want to play the Mario games. So then we ended up getting a SNES as well as a Mega Drive. Luckily, my dad loved video games. My brother loved video games. So we had a good house. And we even got my mum playing like some of the Pokemon games and stuff. It was great. It was a good time. Very grateful that, oh God, very grateful it was as many things as I did. So
it's not really in Delfino Island.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, I'm on vacation.
if you were really there, you probably would have been fired into the air by a Cataquack at this point. So I think the facades bit gone.
That or put in jail.
Yeah.
Just a shadow Nathan running around. So everyone has had a chance though to play Super Mario 3D All Stars. Am I right?
Yes.
A decent chunk. You don't have to play all of them for ages, because I think some of us are going through piecemeal, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Sort of.
I was like, I'm going to complete them in order because I know Galaxy's the best, and I love that as a dessert. But what I've actually found is I've played the other ones for an hour and Galaxy for about 6 hours.
I have invested a lot more time in Galaxy. I've actually got 113 stars in it at the moment.
Oh yes.
So I'm just about to finish the main 100%, the first part of it, and then go and do it again.
As Luigi.
Hell
yeah. Well, we'll go through from the beginning. So, Super Mario 64. It is a classic of the genre. It is one of the pioneers of 3D platforming. It is truly like the game that launched 1,000 platformers. It doesn't control well in 2020 nowadays, does it? Who's having a bad time with that camera?
I know what I actually think that the controls, like, I was surprised by how well I got on with the controls, and I am still getting on with the controls. I do think the camera is a bit iffy in some parts, but largely, if you look at a lot of the levels, the way they're set out, as opposed to Odyssey or the Galaxy or Sunshine, I feel like the levels kind of remind, because they're a little bit more primitive, because it's the first 3D Mario game, they kind of remind me of the sort of setup of the 3D World levels, which is kind of like a hybrid between a 2D Mario game and a 3D Mario game. So going back now, it makes me think of that because I've not played it since before I played 3D World. And so the camera's a little bit iffy in some parts, but I've been making the most of that camera lock feature as well, where where you switch it from the Lakitu, and then you can lock the camera as Mario's running, and it's kind of like a Resident Evil situation where you can run around a corner and then it snaps back. But I think for me, the only thing with the controls is like there's certain moves that have, because it shows how good that game is, that largely the controls, like the long jump and the back jump, if you run forward, stop, and then do a jump backwards and use that little flip thing, which is my favorite move to do, and then the crouch backflip and all those sorts of moves, you have all of those moves in pretty much all of the games since 1996 or 7. So it just shows how good those controls were originally, that they've just added on it. But there's a couple of little moves that I just love to do, like in Odyssey, where, when you run around in a circle and then you start spinning and you can jump that way. Stuff like that, I just miss having that. So there's little moves here and there that they've added over time that, going back, I just wish they were there. But that's not, in my opinion, that's not necessarily the fault of that game. It's just because I'm used to having like the creme de la creme. But yeah, I do think, because I've been doing it like you plan to do, where I'm just starting on 64, boxing that off. I've played bits of the others, but I'm focusing mainly on the original, and then I'm going to go in chronological order. But so if I was to do that and jump back and forth, I think I'd notice it a little bit more. But to be honest, I haven't really got any complaints. But maybe it's just because I'm biased, because I'm obsessed with the game.
I've been spoiled. That's the issue. I went into Mario 64, and actually it's because my nephew was badgering me because he picked it up as well, and he was like, Mario 64 is the best one on there, Uncle John. And so we've been playing it, and I knew exactly what was going to happen when I went back to it. Now, full disclosure, the first time I played Mario 64 was actually on the Wii, and because I skipped the N64 and I skipped the GameCube because I was all into PC gaming back then. But a first taste of Mario 64 was then, and I was blown away by it even at that time. And I played it all the way through. I was obsessed with the game and I loved it. And I felt then it stacked up. But we've had other Mario games since, and Mario, as he is controlled, is slippery, falls down the shallowest of slopes, and my God, the amount of times he just randomly walked off the edge of a platform that's floating in a floating island hovering over the abyss, and you're just going, all the levels are designed for this precision jumping that's so difficult to pull off. If you just accidentally nudge a slope and he goes whizzing off a corner somewhere else for no apparent reason, it's like, God damn it, Mario, just put your feet down.
Yeah.
That being said, the cameras, I actually think, is not too bad because, like Ethan says, the levels are really actually designed for left to right running quite a lot and backwards and forwards. They're quite geometric, so you can lock the camera wherever you need to and push against it or push left to right, and you're golden. The camera gets a really bad rap, but I think at the time they did a fantastic job as well, and that's not the worst thing in it.
Yeah, no, I will agree. I'm only gently ribbing the camera. It's like. Playing it, I'm really blown away that this is the first major 3D platformer. Like, to just come out the gate with one of the classics of the genre is a testament to Nintendo's previous experience. I think that's why games like Crash Bandicoot and stuff struggled so much, is because they didn't come from a perspective of, well, we've done platforming and how do we put these rules into this. They did look at the length of platforms and, okay, what's the good way to make this jump, and how does it feel like something's wrong, when we make mistakes. And I think that kind of experience really shows, you are right, the way the levels are made is very, very smart and makes them still really fun to jump around. And also, even in 64, God, he's so much fun just to jump and just dash around. Like, as a little virtual playground, Peach's Castle is so good. I imagine, just remembering being a kid and going in 3D for the first time around the area, and that was mind-blowing. It was like actually unbelievable. I didn't
little
care.
flourishes as well, like, when he does when you running up to the doors and you do the triple jump, and then if you don't move after you've done the triple jump, and he just stands there and like does a little laugh and spreads his arms, it's just like,
just voted him.
Like, I'm happy that you've done that, and you're happy that you've just pulled that jump off, and it's just brilliant, isn't it? You don't see
64's
Crash or another platformer just celebrating the fact that they've just pulled off an amazing move.
And I think that's what 64 has. That's like, full disclosure, like I've only played a bit of Sunshine on the new collection, and I've only played a bit of Galaxy. I did play Sunshine, but that was like 18 years ago, so my memory isn't exactly sharp of it. But playing the little I have, what Mario 64 still, I think, does better, it's got such personality. It's got a crazy amount of personality to it. It's all these little touches. When you begin and you've got the bird song and the feet tapping as you run around the grounds, the way the pictures dynamically ripple as you jump into them. You don't get that on Sunshine. You just float up and then you disappear into the picture. Not where you jump into it, you get a rippling effect going off. All these little flourishes that it has. I don't think others have. They don't have the personality that 64 has. And, I'll die on this hill. I still think it's the best one. From what I've played so far, I really think it does. Regarding the camera, I agree that the camera's definitely, it's a dog, but you can learn to use it. So to keep flicking the right thumbstick to make sure it's always moving around with you. So if you start doing that, it doesn't take long before that really becomes natural and you just start running around and doing it. And with regards to the controls, they're better than Sunshine's controls. Absolutely better. The finesse about the way you can move around, the wall kicking. Sunshine, as far as I can work out, hasn't even got the backflip or the long jump that I can see. So you've removed that in way of the flood mechanics, I guess, right? But like those, have I missed something?
Sort of. We'll talk about Sunshine in a bit, though. Won't we?
Okay. Yeah, you can do both of those moves.
Right. Okay. I just haven't worked out how then.
Quick editor's note. Ben was absolutely right. Here is a video of me trying to do those moves and actually doing moves that are a little bit different. So, sorry Ben, I told you were wrong and you were in the right. But Mario could do some cool flips and stuff here, so it's got some other stuff going on. Look at him slide on his belly. Hang on, he's gonna look at that. That's great. Yeah. Sorry Ben, you were right.
But it was the way you move around 64 with the long jump or the way you move around with wall kicks and things like that. In those levels, like you said, they're very open and they're designed for different ways of moving around. And what you can do in that game is you can find shortcuts. You can find little things that I don't even know if they had worked out when they designed the game, shortcuts to get down to somewhere ridiculously fast or wall kick off the side of a level to reach up and avoid a whole load of complicated platforming. If you can think about it and in what you can imagine, if you can do it, you can do it. Whereas when I played some of the others, I don't want to go into detail yet, but like when I played Galaxy, I felt that you didn't have that same freedom to find these secret ways around.
Yeah, Galaxy is a more curated experience in terms of you go here, you go here. I think it makes it a bit more fun, but I do know what you mean in terms of the lack of exploration and the ability to try different things. Yeah, I think one of the things that I found with 64 especially is it's way more colorful and more vibrant than I remembered as well. And a lot of that comes from the visuals being kind of up-resed or the textures being up-resed. And I don't know if it's just in my memory. I was like, it's just an old game. It looks like crap. But the design of stuff is still really impressive. Like the bosses are really clever and the different, the different worlds. There's still a lot of design choices that still hold up nowadays. And it just this little up-resing, this game still looks great. I don't know if anybody else, what do you think in terms of the visuals, especially the is it up-resing? Is that what we're calling it? Or is it just kind of polishing?
Done sharp, isn't it?
Have you seen the comparisons to the, because it's not something, because obviously I had the, I don't know whether you guys have, I'm guessing you guys would have played it or at some point, but the DS version of 64. I saw some comparisons of that on Twitter, and at the time I didn't really think about the visuals comparison. Obviously they've updated the models and stuff like that, and but the actual colors seem a bit more muted in that version, and they're a bit more dull, whereas like you say in this one it's all dead bright and vibrant, and if you look at the Mushroom Kingdom level in Odyssey, you have those sort of bright greens and the reds, and that's why that level brings back so much nostalgia, because it reminds you of being in the castle from 64. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one as well, especially with with Sunshine, you would think, because Sunshine's a very bright and sunny, obviously, like game, you would think that would be as bright, but it's something about the colours and stuff in this. It's just very N64, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that is definitely that kind of Technical era, especially because we just come away from SNES gaming, and the 16-bit era was just mad bright, and colours needed to be bright to be separated, and even stuff like Contra and that is still really full of like a lot of personality. And I think you're right. One of the things with 64 DS is I think when they changed the graphics of that, they went in and made the textures more realistic. So they were like, well, let's make these sharper instead of going, well, let's make these better. But yeah, God, I wish we'd got 64 DS as part of this collection as well. I wish we got a few things in this collection, but it would have been good as a little museum of them all, like the Castlevania Legacy collection, just the oddities and stuff, because they're just emulating ROMs. But that's another conversation.
I will say that with Mario 64, when you first play it on the Switch, the improved sprites are everywhere. The coins are sharper, the HUD, the fonts, the typeface, and it's all just been cleaned up, and it's needed that because it's come from the fuzziness of the old CRT TVs where it didn't really matter anyway. You wouldn't have noticed the difference, but you do now. And having the polygons banging in at a sort of HD resolution for Mario 64, and having the sprite work to come up to that level as well, just it makes it look so clean, and it's noticeably you can put that on your Switch and you can look at the TV and you go, yeah, that looks good actually. That does look really good even now. So, and fair play to them. That was the first proper 3D platformer in ever, and they got it right. Nintendo nailed it and set the bar for what future 3D platformers would be right. There are plenty of platformers even now that get it wrong. So,
yep. No, you're right. I think you're absolutely hit it there. They Jurassic Parked it. They did it so well that no one's done it since. But right, any final thoughts on 64 before we move on? All right.
Yes, but I won't start a whole new conversation on music. I could start it'll be another half an hour if I start talking about soundtracks. But 64 soundtrack is amazing, so it has to be said.
Is it good
soundtrack? I do think it's the best soundtrack.
Very iconic.
That's the thing.
I will agree.
I know that we're going to talk about the collection, but whilst you've said that, the three soundtracks is a nice inclusion. But why they're not on Spotify, are they? The Nintendo
don't do this.
Are weird about putting the soundtracks on Spotify. It's just like put the Mario soundtracks on Spotify and put the Ocarina soundtrack on. It's just another income stream for them because I'd be listening to it every day.
It's free money. Stop giving people DMCA takedowns for putting them on YouTube when you won't do it.
They'll be launching Nintify very soon.
Oh god!
So I'm gonna have to lob my Switch in my bag. And then, because you can turn the screen off, can't you? So lob my Switch in my bag, and then when I'm sat there in work, it'll just whip my massive iPod out and put it on the table, and then I'll be able to listen to the soundtracks.
I'm not gonna lie, I have done that with Super Smash Brothers, but that's because it's got loads of great Castlevania music on it. But right, so moving on, Super Mario Sunshine. I haven't played this game like many other people since I had a GameCube because you couldn't. But it was even though I've got it in my collection, it's probably been since I originally had it on the GameCube. I've given it a go. And I always kind of remembered it fondly. I can see that over the years, I kind of saw the things that people had said they thought were wrong with it. And I remembered it so fondly, I kind of almost soured in my mind and been like, oh yeah, Sunshine's kind of the bad one. But playing it again now, my own experience, I think people are overreacting. It's as good as I remember, and I can see the flaws, and I can see where people are coming from. But I think Sunshine is getting a mad amount of hate. I
completely agree. And if you go back and look at original reviews of Sunshine, it reviewed pretty well in the publications at the time. It was actually quite well received. And yes, it's flawed. We'll go into that in a minute. And there are imperfections in it, but it's a good, solid, again, 3D platformer, and it goes from graphically, it's a quantum leap from Mario 64 to go from the N64 to the GameCube. Nintendo pushed everything out to show that their system was the most powerful one on the market at the time, against the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. The GameCube had the Radeon ATI card, and they really went full pelt on all the ripple effects in Delfino Island and everything. It was vibrant in a different way to Mario 64, but they wanted Mario looks great in it as a character model as well. They threw everything behind it there, and weirdly, I played it a few months ago on the GameCube before they'd announced this, so it's firmly embedded in my mind, all of its imperfections as well.
That is the
Those
danger.
water mechanics are fun. I really like them. You know, the flood system and going around and cleaning up. It's so nice to be doing something like that in a game and have that be the primary focus. Is like cleaning graffiti essentially. And it's like if you put it as that, but to turn that into something that's really entertaining is you know, it's very original. They hadn't done anything like this before, so it was quite brave to just say, right, let's give him a water cannon and make him clean up muck, and it worked. You know, and I really enjoy it. I think because you can run around and just use the water cannon, or you can stand stationary and you can fine tune where you're aiming it, right? And I think that fine tuning thing, I struggle with that sometimes to work out distances and things like that. I think I had particular trouble with an early boss, which was like a flying piranha plant.
Oh, and yeah, another one.
And it was like doing a circuit, and then I had to get up high to be able to reach him. By the time I got it right, he buggered off, and then I had to go get down and get round to somewhere else. I found that really infuriating, a very annoying boss.
I know which one you mean.
There's another. I think there's another level as well at the theme park. The name escapes me, but where you've got to shoot balloons with the rocket, with like a rocket thing on Flood. That's similar to that sort of thing, where it's like a stationary sort of third-person shooter on rail thing.
The Mecha Bowser.
But I suppose even that is showing it's Nintendo having a bit of fun and going, we're making a third-person on-rail shooter within Mario.
Yeah.
But I adore Sunshine. It's one of my favourite Mario games. I actually prefer it to Galaxy, which I know is a bit of a controversial opinion. But I prefer it to both Galaxy games. I don't know, to be honest, I don't really know why, because I would concede that Galaxy 1 and 2 are probably better games. But just personally, I just kind of enjoyed the whole music and the sunshine of it. And the only thing I'm missing from this version, which I don't know if anyone's figured out a workaround, because I don't think the GameCube controller works with Sunshine, but I saw something on Twitter about people figuring out how to use it with it. You know, like through the Smash adapter thing.
Yeah, the analog trigger you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm missing the trigger exactly because it just feels absolutely incredible when you're using it. But that's one of them. You can't really say anything about that. But, yeah.
One thing I would have thought was, and it's not a perfect fix, but considering we got split Joy-Con controls for Super Mario Galaxy, how mad would it have been to have motion controls for Sunshine where you point it with the right Joy-Con and maybe move like in and out to do something? I don't know what's capable of, but there's no
think about aiming with the controller when you're using the bow with Link or whatever else. You know, it's something simple like that is all it needed.
Perfect, isn't it? Yeah,
it could have factored that in some control-y way.
That would almost make it too easy, though. Perhaps is the only thing, because I sometimes with some of the stuff, you know, like on Ocarina of Time when you're aiming the bow, and it or in Majora's Mask when you've got to protect the farm from the ghosts, and it's just virtually impossible because you've got to do that with the analog stick and links like that. I think sometimes some of those challenges rely on the hardware. So if you were to update it with the motion controls, that rocket challenge would just be like dead easy. But yeah, I do think they could have added something like that in. But what I would like to say on behalf of Sunshine to any of the haters out there is that Flood walked so that Cappy could run, because Flood is a thing that is a literal albatross around Mario's neck because you can't take it off. But all the abilities in Odyssey where you throw Cappy and you can control a different creature in order to use its abilities, like there's ones in the water levels where it can shoot jets of water up and stuff like that. That is essentially Flood, but a Flood that you can take off and and become Mario again and carry on going. So all these people that are hating on Sunshine and like Odyssey, you need to remember what Flood did.
I think this is a good reminder that people who probably thought they were hating on Sunshine have gone back. Actually, it's not that bad. And I'll tell you something about Sunshine. That's a really important thing to remember. Nintendo could have easily just come up with Mario 64 2.
Mario 1 to 8.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they didn't. They went off in a brand new direction. They said, we're going to innovate Mario. And they've set the standard for all Mario games afterwards. There's always something new, and they changed the game. Sunshine was the first one to do, well, it had to be the first one to do that from Mario 64. But if they hadn't done, we'd have a lot of Mario 64 type games coming out. It's not how Nintendo do it.
Yeah.
And what they've changed, I've wrote about this in Ninty Fresh as well. One of the great things that bringing Flood into it does is it changes the level design significantly from 64, because instead of having these kind of track-based geometric levels, you've got these real truly 3D environments. There's a lot of verticality in some levels because you can use Flood to jump up and down and things, and suddenly you've got this extra dimension that you don't get in Mario 64 so much. It's climbing up to the tower and in some levels and things like that, but Sunshine just takes it to another level, and it's like you go to the new Super Mario Brothers games where you're climbing up towers in single screens and stuff like that. It's kind of the 3D version of that. They've suddenly found a new way to make levels, and some levels can go and do one, but the way they experiment with it and have fun with it is great. My only disappointment with Sunshine is that it shows that game was rushed. It feels half finished in the sense of there's not that many stages in it, and I wrote about this in Ninty Fresh as well. The final level is just a joke. It's barely a level. So it's a real anticlimactic end to what is actually a really enjoyable game. And that pachinko level can do one as well, by the way.
I've heard so much about
we
that.
We mentioned that in our video as well. So
yes, we do.
You get a lot of that on the Switch Player YouTube thing.
Last time I played Sunshine, I decided not to bother finishing that one. I was raging so much, and I think it shows. I think it shows that they were probably still tweaking Mario's moves, because that level shouldn't be as hard as it is. Mm-hmm. And I think they were really. This is why I feel it is rushed. That final quality control that Nintendo do on all their games is a bit lacking in this one. That pachinko level wouldn't be as hard as it was if Nintendo had seen it all the way through.
It's like if that level was in Odyssey, you would turn into a little pinball Mario before you go in there, or
you'd be an actual ball.
Yeah. Whereas like in this, you were saying then about how the level design's different because stuff's built around Flood. That's why these new games, perhaps the Galaxy ones as well, to be fair, because obviously they have power-ups that then change how the level works. But definitely Odyssey, where you can have verticality in a level because you can turn into a frog and then you've got to jump dead high. But then in another level, you haven't got the frog, so you've got to just do it in a normal way. So I do think that game sort of combines all the elements of everything before it. But
I think one thing I really agree with on is the idea that they were like, let's go up. We've got this Flood. It's like a little jetpack. And when it is the most annoying is in a lot of the coin challenges. So on the first level, the one that we were just talking about with the Petey Piranha flying over, I was doing one of the coin challenges because I'm one of these people, when I do a level, I'll do all of the shine sprites and then I'll do the next level. I can't be bothered going from one to the other. So doing the blue coin challenge or the red coin challenge, and it's kind of on a tight wire. Is that the right one? You know what I mean?
Tightrope.
Yeah, tightrope. Yeah. And so you've got to like bounce up from one, and then there's this little electric thing going down, and you've just got to get it right. And if you get it wrong, you don't die and start from the top. You fall to the bottom and have to walk up. It's like going off a diving board. You know what I mean? There's just so many things to do before you even get a chance to do it again. And I think that's where the frustration comes in. And I think that's kind of the problem with it is it's got all this verticality, and it's instead of short, sharp levels like 3D Land or 3D World, it's just a big level, but it means you've got so much space to get like annoyed at having to traverse again. If you
There's
get
a huge amount. There's a huge amount of going back up. That's what I found of like falling down, making a little because the depth perception's not always great, especially when you're on those high wires, those tight ropes, and you bounce from one to another. You can get that wrong, and then you just get the bottom like, oh, here we go again, and then you just start going back up again. And it's definitely a problem. And while you're on the topic of the red coins, because this is a problem I had with the game that I think was ruined from to removing it, that 64 had, was having the red coins available at all times. So you know, one thing I loved in 64 was having a star that was your initial target, but always being able, there were optional stars that if you happen to discover the way of finding another star, or you fancy going for the red coins, it was always an option to do that. And I can't see that happening at the moment. It seems very specific. You pick a shine, and that's the shine you get. You don't get choice.
I mean, that kind of is what the blue coins are, but they aren't as difficult to find as the coins in the red coin challenge. So you are right. The blue coins are more kind of just hidden out the way. It's not like a reward. They're not like a moon, where it really rewards you pushing through and finding different areas you can platform to. They're kind of just like, oh, this one's behind this house.
Yeah, but then if you think of like Bob on Battlefield, where, for example, if you the first one where you get to the top to go get the King Bob on, but if you fancy it, you can just go do the giant chain chomp one and smack down and then go for that star, and then it's that little freedom thing that you've got that I love.
That's what Odyssey did really well as well. Is Galaxy, at least it did do you're here doing this one thing, but it did it quick and it didn't do it too annoyingly. You died, you were back in a second. Whereas Odyssey did have this big open world, and it didn't take you out of the level every single time and be like, and what one do you want to do now? It was just like, carry on, crack on with what you were doing.
Yeah. There were so many moons, though, weren't there? I mean, that was there weren't like 6 to them. Loads of it.
There were a lot of moons in Odyssey where you would say that would have been a coin in one of the other Mario games.
I must admit, though, in 64, like I do think if I was to change, I mean, I know it's blasphemous to say, but if I was to change one thing about it going back now, it would be that I could get multiple stars in one go, because the thing that I like to do straight away is I'll just get as many coins as I can, and then I'll be on like 80 coins in a level, and then I'll see the star and I'm like, well, if I go back and try and find the remaining 20 coins, I can get that star now rather than having to get all those coins again, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like on the ghost house level, I had like 4 stars, and I was like, which one of these is the hardest to get, because I'm gonna have to get the other 3 of them again. Because I went and got all the ghosts. Then I got King Boo. Then I got the other King Boo on the balcony. And I got all the stars were just waiting for me. And I was like, I've got to choose one of these, and then I've got to go and do all the stuff again to get the other ones.
Yeah, I think that's a symptom of games at the time kind of padding things out a bit. They either make things artificially difficult or take a bit longer than they should. And that's because if it didn't, you'd rinse through it. It's like a 4 or 5 hour game then.
Yeah,
I will say where Sunshine shines is in the secret stages that you have to do, where you get your jetpack taken away. I think that is the finest. A couple of them are very frustrating. I won't deny that, due to design faults, I think, rather than anything else. But the ones where you're going from platform to platform, they're moving and everything else, they are just an absolute finesse of platforming chops, where you just take FLUDD out of it and go back. This is what Mario is about. He's still got the moves, and fall off, you're off to your death. The bits where you have to be shot over great distances and you're full short and stuff like that, they can go and do one. But when the otherwise, they're a joy to do, because this is back to what you were saying. Mario's got all his moves back because he hasn't got FLUDD, and you're doing everything. You're doing the wall jump. You're doing the somersaults. You're doing everything you need to do to get through that level. And it would have been good to have a bit more of that, please, in Sunshine, and maybe a little less of the rig traveling around stuff. And some of those red coin levels also were actually really quite annoying in Sunshine, especially against the clock in the hotel and things like that.
Yeah, and in those ones as well, with FLUDD's taken away, like I said, you fall off the level and you just start again. It just takes you back to where you need to be. And I think that kind of immediacy is what works. And it's what works with, a lot of the later games like 3D World and stuff.
You got your path, you know what you got to do, and you just go and have fun with it. That's what it should be about.
I will say I still really love Sunshine. I can see its flaws. To me, it's the world's end of the Mario games. If the others didn't exist, it'd be remembered as incredible. But unfortunately, it's got to be sat beside some of the best games ever made. I'm a World's End defender, and
I love the World's End, but it's just
I love
not,
the first half of it.
the Shaun of the Dead and Heartfalls are just too. They are perfect, but it's not the same tone. So it can't be. It shouldn't be part of the Cornetto trilogy because it's not. It's just not the same tone as the film.
Anyway, right. So any last thoughts?
That's for another podcast for another time.
Any last thoughts on what was I going to say?
Any last thoughts on Sunshine? It's grey until you get into it, and then it brightens up. Weird, eh?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
You go to an island and they go, no, you can't have any colour yet, mate.
Oh, that was it. I realized the other day how weird it is. That is community service, the video game.
Well, as I wrote in the Ninty Face, basically somebody at Nintendo was sat in a room going, you know what we should do? Take Mario back to his plumbing route. Shall we clean up some sewage in the next game?
Just teach the kids to clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Give them a proper vocation.
Right. Okay. On to the final and, in my opinion, best game in the package. Super Mario Galaxy. The game basically didn't need anything doing to it. It looks like a modern game, mate. This Galaxy is 2007. It's 13 years old. The same thing again. They've just given it a little spit polish. My God, that game looks incredible. The scale, the colors, the art design, the characters, and even like the animation, like the way the Lumas move and like Rosalina and stuff. Everything's so like full of personality and movement and stuff. Like, man, Galaxy is a perfect video game in my eyes. Absolute. The only better Mario game, in my opinion, is Galaxy 2. How are the people feeling about Galaxy? Who's played a decent chunk?
I played a decent portion. I do agree that I do think Galaxy is better, just because that's really the first. Apart, obviously, in terms of the 3D games, at least. That's the first time that they've took what they had and just gone, we'll go on, we'll just make a sequel out of it. And then obviously they can just build upon what they've already done there. But yeah, I think the structure of going between different worlds is great. Even though that's similar to what we did in 64 with the painting type thing, the way that it's laid out is brilliant. I think I'm trying to decide whether I like Starship Mario more or the hub world from Galaxy, which you have to forgive me, I can't remember what the name of it is.
It's just
Observatory.
Yeah, that's it. Rosalina's Conservatory. That's it.
Yeah, because there's a little bit more open space in that, as opposed to literally Starship Mario is just a tiny little circle that you like run around on. But yeah, it's just a great game, isn't it? It's just brilliant. The motion controls aren't too intrusive. Although the fun, it's weird, isn't it? Like you think when you'd have a Joy-Con having to point at the screen and get the star bits and all that, you wouldn't think that would you'd think that would be intrusive to the gameplay, but you can still have the full free range of motion. Your brain just kind of does it automatically whilst you're platforming. One thing that I did see on Twitter was someone wrote an article about how they were disappointed by the port because of the accessibility on the docked mode. So when you're in handheld mode, obviously, because the game was originally for the Wii, they've changed it around so you can sort of. I think you can move. I haven't really played it in docked, I must admit, because I've actually got my. Because we were talking about having a launch switch before. I've actually sent my launch Joy-Con finally off to Nintendo for repair because of the dreaded Joy-Con drift. So I'm currently mainly playing in docked mode, but in handheld mode, you can use the whole thing, can't you, to move it around, or can you just use the analog stick for the star bit pointer?
No, so if you're using it in handheld, there is no motion controls, it's touchscreen. Right.
So, but you can kind of ignore, to a point, the star bit thing anyway, really. But I don't really know how they would work around it. But basically, the gentleman that wrote this thing, I can't remember his name, so I do apologise. But he's basically saying
it was Bobby who's actually done an article for Switch Player about accessibility last month.
Brilliant,
you can find him at Twitter at WheelieBadTweets.
That was it. I can't believe I couldn't remember that
I know,
that Twitter handle as well. Yeah, but it's a good read, like worth reading. But it's just interesting, a bit saddening to hear that not all not all Mario fans could celebrate in the way that we can. But I don't know how they would work around that necessarily. But I just think that they could perhaps add something in like that, particularly if they can play in handheld mode. But other than that, amazing game. Yeah, like you say, it looks comparable to Odyssey really in terms of the graphical quality and the animation. But I suppose that just shows the timelessness of Mario games. We were talking before about Super Mario World. That game still looks incredible now.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point with the 3D visuals where Mario can kind of just look great anyway. The Wii U was really underpowered compared to the PS3 and the PS4 and the Xboxes. But well, maybe not the PS3. It was about as good. It was a little bit better than the PS3, wasn't it? But the PS4 and Xbox One. But Mario Kart 8 looked absolutely brilliant. So I think that's just a testament to what Nintendo can do with with visuals and with like gameplay and animation and stuff.
Yeah. One thing touching on accessibility is I can't remember the NVIDIA version, because obviously NVIDIA have the Shield in China, which is how a lot of old Nintendo games have been brought into China because they don't allow the production of certain consoles. So they brought over Super Mario Galaxy and I think weirdly like Donkey Kong Country or something else.
Punch Out and Mario Brothers Wii.
Yeah, I think in that, I can't be quoted on this, but I'm fairly certain they had the right analog stick as the way to point it.
That's how I'd heard it as well.
Yeah, which is one thing. And another thing I heard in terms of accessibility is Lewis, who's just joined the Switch player team or the Ninty Fresh team. Lewis Parker, he's left-handed, and he did a thread today about how before on Super Mario Galaxy, you could use, if you wanted to, the Wii remote in your left hand and the nunchuck in your right, and that was absolutely fine. Whereas the Switch Joy-Cons are built around your left and right hand, and for some reason, the pointer controls for the star bits is only mapped to the right Joy-Con, despite the fact that both have got motion controls. So he was talking today about how he's been having to he had to swap the Joy-Cons to different hands, remap the buttons, and was giving his hand cramp to try and point the controller. So as much as I love Super Mario Galaxy and I think it's a perfect video game, I am really disappointed, and I think Nintendo have missed a lot of accessibility kind of open goals here. They really could have done this. This game's 13 years old and they've had plenty of time to port these games. There's no excuse. Even if they did, as rumored, start these remasters or ports in March, that's enough time to do motion controls. And if you're doing the motion controls in terms of the way we have, there's easy things like mapping them to the other side. I don't think any amount of rushing or anything can kind of excuse the lack of accessibility.
It's something that Nintendo seems to have struggled with on and off from time. And even back when Mario Galaxy was originally released, it was the issue was, oh God, Nintendo aren't paying attention to accessibility because there was no button to spin. You had to flick that remote.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you could swap hands, but you had to use the nunchuck and the Wiimote. There was no alternative. You could not use a controller. So there's kind of, you've gained something in this version, but you've lost a bit as well. And I agree. I think there is a lot more room for Nintendo to actually add some accessibility options. And Galaxy is, I know we're meant to be talking about Galaxy, but what we didn't mention is that in Mario 64, they invert the camera controls. And in Mario Sunshine, they take inverted controls out, make it non-inverted controls for the up and down. So it's actually weird. If you're really used to playing those two games, it's now been switched on you and you've got no way to turn it back. So this is currently, it is the 5th biggest launch title for the Switch, in sales. And basically, let's be honest, they've phoned this in. They've built emulators and that. I'm not gonna undo any of the work that's been done, but it's been low-hanging fruit for Nintendo, and I would hope that they take some of that massive earning that they've got to put some effort back into stuff like accessibility and things, and just do some quality of life stuff to it as future updates, because I think the games deserve it.
Yeah, I think Nintendo have straddled this line of innovation where they've always wanted to do things with motion controls, and often to push this innovation and prove how good it is, they don't give you another option. When you look at things like Star Fox Zero, when you look at things like Kid Icarus, Uprising on the 3DS, and even Pokemon Let's Go, the lack of options, because they want you to do this new experience and there's no other way to do this, is frustrating. And it's a very Nintendo thing we see quite a lot. And often there is another way to do it and there is a workaround. And yeah, these motion controls, the point controls might be good and they might be the preferred way of doing it, but give other people who can't do them an option.
Not just people that can't do them, people that don't want to do them as well.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
just
you're
because
right,
I hate them. I don't like anything to do with motion controls. I don't like the gyro on this. It's annoying me on Galaxy that I have to keep doing this around. I like to sit very stationary, and like you say, you can run around and pick everything up, but it's not super fun to do that. And you have to hit the bits quite closely. For example, I would have really liked it if they'd input some kind of option that allowed some kind of vacuum change, so you didn't have to get anywhere near as close to these things to start sucking them in, which could help with accessibility, or it could just help with some people that can't be bothered to do all this stuff, which I don't want to do.
What's it going to cost them to give you a few extra star bits if it just automatically brings them in?
Particularly if I suppose this goes back to what you were saying, John, about it is an emulation at the end of the day, and they've not touched the sanctity of these great games at all. Which is a blessing and a curse, because there's little things like this that they could have tweaked, but then these games are put up on such a pedestal that they're just untouched. But if you look at like 3D Land or some of the later Mario games, they have that. Do you remember that white block? If you died so many times on 3D Land, you could get that white Tanuki block, and it just basically made you invincible. Things like that, they could go back and retrofit that to the games. But
they could, and they sort of added that into Galaxy 2 as Luigi would come and take over for you if you were really bad at the game. So, I mean, I'll go back to what we were saying about Galaxy, because Alex pretty much sums up my feelings on the game too. I think it is the finest 3D Mario game, bar Galaxy 2. And for impact, Super Mario Galaxy all the way, because they not only did they give Mario new mechanics, they gave him this spin, attack, and jump. They also created these worlds that are balls in space that there is no greater joy than firing off a long jump and ricocheting all the way around the orbit of the planet that you're on and then landing back where you began. So, and stuff like, there's lots of these absolute genius moments and fun, and they brought back the suits finally properly, not like in Mario 64 where it's, well, we can do these 3D effects with the graphics we have right now. And so suddenly you could be a bee, you could be an annoying spring, and fire and ice Mario, and
a ghost, don't forget,
and the Boo Mario as well. I mean, it's incredible. And then it was like, wow, I will say, I am absolutely gutted Mario Galaxy 2 isn't on here, because it was kind of designed as, it wasn't even Mario Galaxy 2. I think Miyamoto said in an interview it was actually going to be called even more Super Mario Galaxy or something like that. And then they decided to make it a proper sequel. But I think what they did is they refined everything in Mario Galaxy and turned it into these very even tighter, brilliant stages. And all the gimmicks they use, they just use a couple of times. They're never overused, and it's a wonderful game. But
I think that's the gear I have to shift with Galaxy, is appreciate that it is, like you said earlier, Nathan, it's about these sort of tighter level experiences, and it's something I'm missing. Is like, for example, the hub world is very, as far as I can tell, doesn't have the level of secrets and hidden stuff that 64 has, and even Sunshine has some of those elements. I think hidden items, and I don't get that, so I'm not getting that. So that annoyed me to start with, and then I got into the levels, and I wasn't finding this freedom, and that annoyed me. And then I started to realize that this is the point of it. It's like it's a bridging a gap to some of those other ones like 3D World, but you've got a more focused experience, and you go from planet to planet. You do what you have to do on this planet, then you get on that little star thing, and it'll ping you over there, and then you do what you have to do there. And they're short and they're sharp, and they do work, but you have to get into the mindset. And I guess when I've just played 64, got all 120 stars, then I'm on to Sunshine, and I'm plowing on. I'm really enjoying that, and then I'll flick this on, and I was like, where's my freedom gone? But that's the point. So it's okay. I'm going to tell you, get used to it.
I'm going to tell you something that I'll probably explain to you why that is. In my mind, I've never heard anything a bit like this, but in my mind, Galaxy is 3D Super Mario World.
Right.
It's short, sharp levels. The levels are the secrets. You find different ways to go. Like you can find the different Lumas, give them more star bits and stuff. Like it kind of, instead of Delfino is great for the little secrets and stuff, but Galaxy is like, no, go play these levels, play these fun things.
That's it. What Galaxy does instead, whether you like it or not. And before saying that, Benjamin, I went on the exact same path as you when I first played Galaxy. I was like, oh, the freedom's gone. I'm not so sure about this, but as I went through it, I was sold and actually thought they've done this right. They know what they're doing. But every Galaxy has 3 standard stars you get. It has a secret one somewhere that you have to go and find. It has a modifying comet that gives you a hard level to do, and it has the purple coins as well. So it kind of, they tease in all of the things that you like about the past games in each Galaxy. There's one of each, and so there's a reason to explore. There is also the challenge of the coins. The purple coins levels are actually, especially the later ones, are absolute genius how they do them. Some are time trialed, some have more than you need, but they're really difficult to get, and other ones that's it. The Galaxy is the refinement of the past 2 games, and in short, sharp, they're courses. They're proper Mario courses, not this open hub and things. And we talked about Odyssey earlier. For everything people say about Odyssey, everybody wanted, we needed an open world Mario game and all of that. When it came down to it, everybody was raving at it at the time, but I knew in my heart it was not as good as Galaxy because it didn't have those tight levels. You could work your way around sections in Odyssey. You could find tricks, and Cappy was so beautifully versatile, but also so versatile you can actually skip entire sections if you know what you're doing. That's another criticism I have of Mario games, but that's for another time. And then, basically, brilliant gamers find easier ways to do levels, which is it's unfortunate.
That's what I like. That's a plus point.
I was just thinking, like you were saying about Luigi pops up in Galaxy 2. If you keep dying, I was just thinking, that's weird. I don't remember that when I played it. That just must mean that I'm amazing at the game.
Obviously, you're amazing at the game. All hail Ethan.
I remember Galaxy 2 came with a DVD showing you how to play the game as well. That was the shift to accessibility they showed with that one.
May I just say, I teased my child with that because it turned up at my house a day early before release, and I said, "Oh, they've sent this instead of the game." And showed him the DVD.
I got
evil man.
I got that game on holidays, and I just had the box, and I was like reading the manual and all that, but waiting to go home, not enjoying my holiday, and then I was watching the instructional DVD, just waiting, being like, oh, so that's how you jump, that's gonna come in handy.
Well, that's a somersault, yeah.
I will say something very, very slightly controversial here. Talking about curated experiences and kind of the idea of, I prefer the short level design and the more focused level design. I think Super Mario 3D World is a better game than Odyssey. I think they're both very good games. I think they're both like top tier video games. I think 3D World is more fun in my eyes. But anyway, right, back to Galaxy. We're going to finish up. What is everyone's favorite level and or boss? Because this is, in my eyes, still, though it hasn't been updated, a damn near perfect video game, and it's got a lot of unforgettable moments. I'm going to start with Ethan.
Is this for Galaxy? Sorry,
this is Galaxy.
I'll just go with the easy one and go with Bowser, the final Bowser boss battle, because it's just cinematic, isn't it? There you go.
It's really, when you're like stomping the meteoroids to hit at him, aim them.
Yeah, exactly. And they thought,
that's incredible.
And you smack him. It's just satisfying, isn't it, to do? Like you were saying before, firing yourself in the little stars and going around with a gravitational pull.
Yeah.
I wonder what went through. I mean, you can't even begin to imagine what goes through the developers and Nintendo's minds when they're coming up with these amazing games. But what was going through the mind to think, oh, if I stand on a planet and run around in a circle, like some people must have been getting dizzy developing that. But yeah, like you say, it's just such a satisfying thing to do.
Yeah. Go on, Ben.
What? Sorry, I have the whole 2 levels I've played on Galaxy.
Have you not played it before?
Well, I played it once when it came out on the Wii, but again, only a similar amount because I played it around my girlfriend's house at the time. So not a lot. But of the 2 levels, no, I have a favourite. of the 2 levels, it has to be the second one because I got to be a bee, which I enjoyed very much. And I got to crawl all over a queen bee, and she told me that she had terrible itching.
Yeah.
And I thought there was some quality dialogue in there, and I thought there is a cream for that.
There is some subtext in these levels.
I think I have a cream for that.
So even in
very
just 2 levels, I managed to really put a smile on my face. So it has already done that. So bravo.
How good is the fur on that bee?
I know. I was just,
Okay.
this is a
Fair K, mate.
Like fur K. Oh, that's a very good pun. Go on, John. Have you got a favorite moment?
Oh, yeah, loads. But if one of my favorite levels, I was just playing it today actually, is Dreadnought's Purple Coins, which I think is the perfect opportunity to show off all of the little jumps and tricks you've learned. Hold your nerve, because you're on this, it's a rails thing. You just move on a moving platform, gravity's shifting up and down, left and right. You've got to catch if you miss a coin, you've ruined the level. And it's just an absolute tour de force. So second to that is Luigi's Purple Coins.
Oh, that's a good one.
I just love those levels for the challenge, because they really do keep you're so focused on them. They really they're testing what you've learned through the entire game. That's why they save them for last, and they really do make sure you learned your lesson by then. So they're great examples of reward in a level for what you've achieved in your gameplay. Yeah,
I'll agree with that. And I think the only thing I'd probably add, I love the purple coin levels, but I really loved Mega Leg as a boss, just because of the scale of it. This was one of the first times in a Mario game we saw something that was like, oh wow, it was like Shadow of the Colossus. Mario's actually like climbing up this thing. And I think there's better bosses in the game, like Bouldergeist later on. But that was just I remember playing it on the Wii, and that moment was just me sat there going, bloody hell, that's incredible.
He's the first boss as well, isn't he? What a way to kick off the bosses.
What a way to do it. Right, so obviously that is all of the games within Super Mario 3D All-Stars. As a package, I think there's a lot of different opinions flying around, because as we have said, it is an emulation of ports. One thing I think we're probably going to get in the future because of this is what we've seen is that Nintendo of Europe Research and Development, otherwise known as NERD, have developed this emulator, and you don't do that unless you're going to emulate more than 2 or 3 games. So we're probably going to see some virtual console stuff coming over, and maybe we will see it very similar to this, like we're going to get the Zelda 35th birthday next year. So what I wouldn't be surprised to see is a Zelda collection very much like this, where it is a ROM being emulated. But that does mean as well that they haven't changed a lot. One thing I wondered is if they even could have added camera options or things in these ROMs. I'm not a game developer, but I don't know how much you can change in a ROM before it all falls apart and before you actually just need to build a new game.
I think where we've talked about accessibility and camera controls, even if you don't want to add them into the core games, you can configure the emulator you've written, and they've switched the controls around in that emulator for these games already. Yeah. That's what they've done. They haven't changed the game in that regards. They've kept that core. They've set up the emulator to flip the camera controls around or flip the whatever else. Just let people choose it one way or the other in the emulator, and if they're playing it wrong, then so be it. I think with Galaxy, it's a bit different. They've had to do more stuff because they've added the R button to center the pointer, which is a minor annoyance when you're used to using the Wii controller. But it shows they've got, I think because Galaxy is more recent, it was easier for them to do than Mario 64, let's say. They've got more recent dev kits and stuff. So I won't say it's easy, but they can if you can do anything if you've got enough time and you've got enough resources, and they've got to balance that. But they've made a lot of money on this, and I think what people deserve is actually some more refinement in how these things are emulated.
Yeah, I hope a possible Zelda collection gives us a little bit more options. But one thing I hope we see is just kind of more of the games. We talked about Mario 64 DS earlier. There is still a couple of games missing. Like personally for me, Super Mario Galaxy 2 is my favorite 3D Mario game. Full stop. I think it's better than Odyssey. I also really like Super Mario 3D Land, which is a game that you cannot play outside of a 3DS at the moment. As a package, obviously over here it's 50 quid. It's 3 games. And it is games that are individually cheaper to buy on the selected stores of the Wii U and stuff. So, I mean, does anyone feel shortchanged? We've got the gallery of the music, which is incredible and adds a lot to the package and is a really nice way to play these.
I think I mean, I don't know about you three. I'm guessing we're the same because we're Nintendo fans. So I think we would have paid £50 for. Well, I would have paid £50 for the ability to play 64 on the Switch. To be honest with you, but I think overall the value of the package it's not bad. I think I've got more of an issue with the timed exclusivity of it. But then at the same time, I can't really. You look at the fact that it's like you were saying before, John, one of the biggest launches for a Switch game, and then I think it's one of the top selling games in the UK at the moment, if not the top selling game in the UK at the moment. So all these people that are complaining about the fact that it's timed exclusivity, they've just bought the game anyway. So we're going to be doing a lot more complaining in the next couple of years when they do this again, presumably with Zelda and with however many other games they want to do. But I think with the amount of money they've made from this, I would like to see them do the good thing and perhaps do us a deal on Galaxy 2 or bring that as an update or do something like that, or maybe even add it to the Switch Online thing, so that the people who didn't get this collection, they can't get anymore because it's been vaulted like the Disney stuff. But they might be able to still play Galaxy 2 maybe.
Guys.
Yeah, but yeah, I do think, like we were saying before, they could have added some more accessibility options. I would be interested to know, Ben, I know you're saying that the 64 is your favourite one. Because I was thinking when I first saw the trailer for this, and you see that they'd not done the widescreen on 64, I was thinking, they could have done the widescreen on that because there was a hack or a mod that someone made, wasn't there, like on PC, which was a widescreen version of 64. Yeah. So literally, someone who doesn't work for Nintendo has done it. So why can't they do it? But then when I'm playing the game, I was thinking to myself, like, I actually don't want a widescreen on this because it's so well done, and it's held up so well, and it's like a house of cards. Everything's so perfect. If you to add one thing or change the camera or add it widescreen, I feel like certain levels will just fall apart, and certain things would fall apart. So part of me is kind of glad that they just didn't mess with the sanctity of that game. And then the newer games, slightly newer, I say, Galaxy's 13 years old at this point, but the slightly newer games, they could perhaps play around with those a little bit more. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what you think about that widescreen issue, because I actually, now playing it, I'm not that bothered about it.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not stuff I notice a lot. I've got to be honest, I'm not somebody that notices things like that a huge amount. I didn't even notice when I started playing 64 that it wasn't widescreen. I didn't even notice the black bars. I was just playing that game, and I was just in that game. I didn't have a clue until somebody was complaining about it on Twitter. And then I was I just don't notice. Like, I'm the same way that I think it's a fair price for the package with the way the games have been treated. I think the later ones look incredible. I think Mario 64 looks exactly the same as it was, and I thought long and hard about that. Obviously, originally we had possibilities that they were going to do a full remake of the games, and that's what I was expecting when I realized it was going to be exactly the original. And then I had a long think about it, and I realized that that's really what I wanted. So I didn't want or need anything to happen to that game. I just want it exactly the same as it was, including that camera, because if you fix that camera, then levels like TikTok Clock would stop being the challenge that they are, and I'd stop having those blind jumps that I have to make, because just as frustrating as it is when you miss because of the camera, when you succeed despite the camera, you have this moment of elation that you wouldn't have anymore if the camera was fixed. So it's just perfect for me. And I've just had such a blast with it. So I think it's money well spent. I mean, it's say 50 quid or 42 quid if you buy it off any other real retailer that isn't Nintendo directly, and you're talking about £14 a game. That's not bad. That's fine.
Yep.
One thing I would have liked to have seen is, obviously, what you're talking about is preservation. These games are, this is like a little museum, and they should be preserved as they were, because, to go in and change them, you're talking about a remake then, and for this case, we want the originals. One thing I find interesting is we are getting in this one the Shindo version, the re-released version, which changes some of the smaller aspects, like voice acting.
Isn't that the So Long Gay Bowser thing, which everyone thinks is what he said, but it's actually So Long Gay Bowser or something like that.
It says So Long King Bowser.
King Bowser.
Yeah, we felt we had.
I mean, does he say that? Because
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
being funny, but it definitely. I mean, to me, it didn't sound like so on Gay Bowser, but it definitely doesn't sound like so on King Bowser.
So we got the
Um,
uncompressed file in the Giga League
Oh, really?
this year, and it is so long King Bowser. And Charles Martinet has
really?
actually always said that's what the
I
line
need to go and
was.
listen to that then. Yeah.
There was I would say this is that in Mario Galaxy 2 there is a galaxy called the Throwback Galaxy, which recreates the
Bob-omb
Bomb's
Battlefield, isn't it?
Fortress
Yeah.
from Mario 64.
Oh, but it has the Bob-omb.
It is.
That's the same music, isn't it?
It remixes the music and everything. It's a wonderful, wonderful throwback, and it's it gives you all the feels when you're doing it. But you're not playing Mario 64 because Mario's the controls are dead on Galaxy. Mario's a bit too precise in 64, I would say, and it's a bit too loose in Sunshine. I think that they nail it a bit more in Galaxy, and so, but it's easier to wall jump up the levels, and you can do tricks that you couldn't do originally, and everything else. It plays different. If people wanted that Mario 64 remake, that's what they would have had. They would have had a different game. And that's that. I think the important thing here is, yes, it's locked to 30 frames per second. It doesn't go up to 60 because the game changes when you do that. It's not widescreen. But like people moan when they bring out Mario 3 or Mario World and go, oh, why don't they make it widescreen? Because it will change the game so much that it will be a different game just by having a widescreen game there, because they're designed for a 4:3 ratio, those levels. There's a reason for that. They're designed the way they are. You can't mess around with them like that. So yes, preservation wise, I think they've done all the right things. They've cleaned up the graphics. They've raised it up to a more reasonable resolution. Sunshine, they've allowed to go widescreen and tweaked it here and there as well. And that benefits for it, I think. I think actually, because we were talking about the scope of the bigger levels in Sunshine, that really does benefit and needed it.
Yeah.
So, and there's so little to do in Galaxy anyway, because it looks great as it is. You do too much, and all the fans clamoring to say, I wanted them to do more to it. They don't, because they would have had a situation like Mario All-Stars, where suddenly he's breaking through the blocks in Mario 1, and you're going, oh, he's not jumping right, and the hitboxes are wrong on the piranha plants and stuff like that, and everybody's going, oh no, this isn't authentic anymore. Just minor tweaks to improve the game, and people have gone, that's not right, I don't like this, I'll play the original, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's like, when The Hobbit came out in 60 frames, things look different. And think also, sometimes you don't want it to look that good because you want the original.
Yep.
And I will say as well, I do agree that I think Sunshine has got the most benefit from this collection. And whether it is just I think widescreen works for it, and the way it's been given this little glow up. I think Mario 64 already looked good, and they didn't really change it that much, and it works as it did. But to me, Sunshine is the one that now, this is a great way to play that game. I think it's going to change a lot of people's opinions. But yeah, right. Any final thoughts on the package? I'm going to be reviewing it for Ninty, and I'm struggling to separate my opinions, but I'm not one of these people that's got a massive issue with it. There's a couple of things I would have liked to have seen, as we've hammered on with accessibility issues, but I don't mind that we're paying 50 quid to have all these games in one place that we wouldn't have had before, and it's way cheaper than buying a load of consoles, get a load of controllers out. I love my Switch. I like having everything all in one place. I'm really happy with this collection. I would have liked a bit more, but I'm not annoyed.
Yeah, these are what I would argue to be the definitive versions of these games now, and I'd make no bones about that at all. I'll stand there and say, just looking at it on an HD screen looks great. But I will say, when you compare this as a collection to other collections that are out there, especially from the likes of Capcom and things, it really does fall short.
Rare
also,
replay.
Yeah, and I'll say this: that it's great having the tunes on, but why the heck haven't you got a proper music player? Why do you have if you end up on a looping track, you're stuck on it?
And that menu looks brilliant. I saw people complaining about the menu. I like it. I like the way that it plays a random tune from any of the three games.
Yep.
And I like the way that the date rolls as you skip across. And I like when you're selecting the games, it shows you like an official render from that game. Like, because I love the N64 era renders, so it looks so like the little one of Mario sleeping. He's got his eyes like half open. You're loading into the game, that one. But why isn't there a gallery for that? Yep. Like, that's in the game. It's on the cartridge. Just give me a gallery so I can have a little look through. But the only other thing that I would have loved to have been added in, which is, it was something that do you know Tim Getty's from that Kind of Funny? He was saying in one of the podcasts, he was like, they could have added an achievement system built into the game, So if I pull something off, it just pops and gives me, or like little challenges that overlay in like a menu. You know, like when you press the minus or the select on the controller, and it comes back with the menu pause screen as opposed to the in-game pause screen. You could have like a full challenge system overlaid, so that the three of us or four of us that have played these games before, we've got like another sort of meta challenge that's overlaid on and stuff like that. Like it's not that hard, is it really, for them to go and add that? And that could even be the sort of thing that they add in as an update, but I don't think they're going to. But yeah,
I agree with you there, and I think one of the things that it would have really worked with is Super Mario 64. Being as old as it is, we've seen so many speed runs, and now we start to see different types of speed runs. Like we see, you know, no touching coins, minimum stars, or even when you fire off, if you climb a tree and a life starts to follow you, there's the challenge of, can you finish the level without that life ever touching you? Because it's then following you around. But people have made these little games in them, and Nintendo have cultivated such a community around these things. Yeah, I agree. Some of these would have been a really good addition, or a little bit of work with the community to say, like, because Nintendo was so secretive. We just got this thrown on us. But if it'd been more open source, like, I think a lot of good things could have come of it.
One of the achievements in Half-Life 2 is you can only, and this only pops over Steam, so you don't see anything in the game. It doesn't tell you. So they've obviously just gone on after they finished the game and added it in, which is what Nintendo could have done. But one of the achievements is you've got to finish the whole game with only firing one bullet. And the bullet that you fire is to shoot a padlock off to get through a door. So you can only shoot that one bullet in the whole game, and the rest of it you've got to just do it. So, like you say, little things like that could have been fun for people that have already mastered these games, like we have, that are going back into them.
The sad thing is, Nintendo have done this. On the Wii U, they had the NES Remix games, they've done exactly what you've described already with those classic 8-bit games. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility for them. Mm-hmm. They've been there, they've done that, and they could have done it with this. There's lots of things they could have done, but still, they're three of the greatest 3D games around, and there's no denying that. So the value is there, even if it does fall short in other areas.
Yeah, we're spoiled Nintendo fans. We like moaning about things, and we, unfortunately, they've got such a rich history and so many things that they could do. There's always another thing we could ask for. And I think that's one thing that Nintendo fans need to remember, is much as there's a couple of things I would like to have seen, I don't think that devalues this package. I'm pretty happy with it.
It's the most fun I've had in a long time. It's just going back. And even though I've just done 64 and now moving on to these others, and I'm loving Sunshine, and I'm sure I will love Galaxy. I will. It's just the most fun. It's definitely worth the money, even without all the stuff they could have done. It's just a great collection. It's great.
Yeah, I think the only thing I won't touch on the digital exclusivity because we're running low on time. And that's a whole different thing. In my dream world, this is not exclusive to any amount of time, and it updates the same way that Master Chief Collection does. I would like this to be the Mario Collection. We buy it, and over time, they invest in it and they add things. I think that would have been the most consumer-friendly and non-Nintendo thing to do, whereas instead, what they will do is nickel and dime us. We'll get all of these games separate in April for 20 quid each, and they're going to chuck on Galaxy 2 in April as well, as a kind of like, sorry, but you've got Galaxy 2 now.
Yeah, my hot take.
I tell you what they could do. I tell you what they could do as retribution. This time next year, so September next year, they go, did you miss out on that 3D All Stars package? It's part of the Nintendo Online for you now. I don't know whether that would annoy people. I wouldn't be that bothered though, because I paid £50. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was like a bit money back, but
they will upset a lot of people.
I've been marching in the streets. So.
Yeah. All right, we'll give you. Go on. We'll give you a £30 voucher, eShop voucher. If you've already bought the game, you can use that.
We'll give you 10 Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah. You say that was worth it, because I've got that Ambassador 3DS.
Me too.
Some of those games, you can't buy them on the 3DS eShop. So technically, that's a bit of exclusivity for you.
They never put GBA games on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which is whatever.
Some of the NES games, some of the NES games are exclusive as well, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Anyway, we'll finish. Anyone got any last words on the package? Any things they're particularly disappointed with, or
I am glad that the European version doesn't have the offset logo on the cartridge.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
yeah, I
give
thought
you
that.
that.
so specific. I love it.
No, it's ugly. He's right.
It is horrible.
Those poor Americans and their needing to put the rating on the cartridge.
It's like all the German Switch covers that have got the the rating like in the corner. So remember on Smash Brothers, they just took off Yoshi so they could get the rating on.
Should have
So
just put
funny.
it over his head like Mike Wazowski.
I think in my mind, what they should have done is Zelda firing out the rating. But anyway, right. So what I want to finish off in, we'll finish on a good note. I think we're going to go around with everyone, and everyone's going to tell me. I put out a call very last minute because John said he had some things to show off for any Mario show and tell. And what I will do is, as well, if you haven't got anything on you, as well, and or whatever, just tell us about your favorite Mario game. So John, you've clearly got something to show. So give me your favorite Mario game. And
favorite Mario game. Well, we already talked about that. That's Galaxy 2. It would be World on the SNES if it's 2D. But there is another game that I think is worthy of mention that often gets forgotten, and that is Donkey Kong on the Game Boy. Now, you're talking about Mario doing his backflips and triple jumps and things. Donkey Kong on the Game Boy is where he learned those moves before Mario 64. It is an absolute joy to play. It starts off like the classic Donkey Kong game, and then you go through the 4 levels going, yeah, Donkey Kong, whatever. And suddenly there's a world map, and the game explodes, and you are traveling through it. If you haven't played it, try and get hold of a copy and play it because it's really good. There you go. Worthy Mario game, Donkey Kong on the Game Boy.
And what have you got to show the class?
What I've got to show the class is it was my son's birthday today, 16.
Happy birthday.
I treated him to this little bad boy. We're talking about it's Mario's 35th birthday, but does anybody remember his 20th birthday?
Oh, yes.
That's a nice bit of kit there, isn't it?
And
I missed that one.
there we go. There we go.
You know what I hate about that though? The lowercase buttons.
The lowercase buttons.
Does that not annoy anyone else?
Well, they've got to be lowercase.
That's how it is on the
smaller.
Famicom, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
I thought it.
I'm gonna go back and check.
Hang on. I've got my Game Boy Micro. Is it going to be the same on mine?
Yeah, because the buttons are uppercase, aren't they, on everything else? Unless I'm stupid.
Hang on, let me get my Game Boy Micro and we'll see. Hang on.
I think it is lowercase on the micro.
That might be it then. Yeah, I assumed it was because it was. No, it's the typeface is the micro, isn't it? So they're going to be lowercase.
Right. It is also lowercase on my Game Boy Micro.
But they put the uppercase Famicom uppercase styly ones above it. But yeah, you got
how's the cramp on that? Because I haven't got one of those, so I've always wondered what the finger cramp's like after a bit. Is it bad?
It's better than an original 3DS. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I think it's fun. To me, this is one of the most toyetic, but also one of the best consoles Nintendo's ever released. Literally the best way to play GBA games in my eyes. I love mine.
Yeah, that little screen actually makes them look so much sharper as well.
Yeah, man, I love playing Pokemon Emerald on this thing. That's what's in there at the moment because I pick it up every now and again. Right, we'll move around to Ben. Favorite Mario game?
Favorite Mario game. So yeah, I know you keep doing this to me, Nathan. You keep making me choose my favorite Mario game in different forums, and I hate choosing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have been doing that quite a lot recently.
I mean, it's got to be Super Mario World, but it is just by a pinch above Mario 64. They're both so important to me and represent beautiful times in my life. There's a huge amount of nostalgia, but they are also incredible games, and I love them both dearly. And then honourable mention would be Super Mario Brothers 3, which is another one that I played a heck of a lot when I was younger. And it's what Super Mario World did better in the end, but it laid a lot of building blocks for Super Mario World. And there's again, it's that freedom, moving around different ways and avoiding different enemies on the map and stuff like that. There's ways around it. So those 3 games are all great. But
those 3 games are your number one.
Those 3 games are my number one game.
Isn't it mad when you think back that Super Mario World and Super Mario 64, and that's 6 years between them?
Is it really? Wow.
1990 and 1996. Because, World launched the SNES and 64 launched the N64. That's that. God, I think we've had like 3.5 years since Odyssey. Time flies, man. And anyway,
Yeah,
that's just me
Why
lamenting.
haven't they done
Odyssey.
DLC for that? You would have thought that would be a certified add-on, wouldn't you?
Do you remember what happened with Galaxy 2? They were making DLC and it turned into a different game.
Really, yeah. Well, that's the only other thing that I would think would be is that they don't want to add DLC to a core Mario game because it's just a bit. They perhaps don't want to, because they're still good with the DLC. Nintendo, aren't they? They're not microtransactions and stuff. The DLC is very good quality, but yeah, perhaps they're making another Odyssey. So fingers crossed for that, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think adding a level to it is a little bit. It takes away kind of the magic of a singular Mario game.
Yes,
Whereas something like Zelda, giving you extra challenges in a world that was already built is very different. I think you're probably right. As soon as they started making new levels, they're like, no, this is a different Mario game.
Yeah.
Ben, did you have anything to show the class? Or
I did. No. I ran up into the loft, nearly fell back down again. So thanks for that, Nathan. Yeah, so you asked me to find something Mario related. So I didn't. I got something Donkey Kong related, but I had to bring it down because it's something pretty cool.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
So this is Donkey Kong 3, the Micro Versus system, which is a handy dandy little thing, and it's very nearly Mario related, but it's a single player or multiplayer game because it comes with two of these handy dandy little wheelie controllers in it, and essentially you've got little D-pads and then one button which is to spray. And this game essentially is the single player version is you're a little fella on one side and Donkey Kong's on the other, and he sends across, I think they're like bees, and then you have to send across little sprays of water to turn the bee around.
That's kind of like Donkey Kong 3, is it?
It is Donkey Kong 3, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So you spray the bees, they turn around, they head back, and you've got to try and go up and down and stop the bees going through essentially your net, I suppose. And then you can play 2-player where each one of you is each side, and you go up and down and try and turn these bees around. It's not working right now, but I have had it working before. But it's a pretty special little thing. I like it.
I've never even seen.
I haven't seen that.
And that, folks, is how the Nintendo Switch was born.
Really?
Well, you got 2 detachable controllers in those.
It's true. Yeah, exactly.
Literally, almost any time Nintendo do something.
Is there any drift on that?
Any drift on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to the original design, Nintendo. Come on.
But no, like literally every time Nintendo do something mad or wacky, there's almost always. I mean, they're 131 years old yesterday. There's always. Almost always something mad, but very similar in the past that you're like, they've just been doing this mad stuff for years. They've just been throwing everything at the wall, but as long as they've been around, and it's amazing. Right, Ethan, favorite Mario game?
I'm actually Ben's choice, but in reverse. So I'd go 64 is my favorite, and then close second would be World, just because World, in my opinion, is just the best 2D Mario game. I think for the next 2D Mario game we have, I think we need to go back to a sort of a different style than the New Super Mario Brothers thing, just because I feel like it's getting a little bit stale. I loved New Super Mario Brothers U, but I think I'd like to see another art style maybe in a 2D game. But yeah, I'd go 64 is my favourite, and then World. But we've already spoken quite a bit about 64, so yeah. And then, sorry, go on.
No. You carry on. I'll come back to it later.
For my show and tell, I actually haven't got, because I've recently moved into this flat with my girlfriend, so I literally got none of my stuff. Although, to be fair, I don't have anything as cool as that Game Boy or that contraption that you just showed off then. I did recently acquire some a set of, do you remember when you used to get toys in cereal before people started choking on them and then you couldn't have them in anymore?
Yeah.
It was a full set of sort of 1996 or 7 or 8 Mario figurines that like sort of hang onto the side of the cereal bowl and stuff. I ordered it from France because I got one when I was on holiday in France years ago, and then I've always had it, and I thought, go on, I'll try and get the full set of them. So I recently acquired that. Don't know why I bought it, but that's the sort of thing that I've got lying on a shelf at home that my girlfriend won't let me bring to the flat. Don't know why, but
I love it.
I have got one thing to show though, which I've kind of just brought into the frame. It's a little known game that I don't know if many people have heard of it before, but it's for the Nintendo 64. and basically it's called Super Mario 64. So, yeah, it's actually quite rare, to be fair.
Is it any good?
It's all right. I mean, to be honest, the camera's shit, but yeah.
About 50 quid on eBay, I think that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If you can get a picture of those little Mario figurines, I'd love to see them. And
I've got one on my phone, so I'll put it on.
Yeah. I'll add it to the video version of this.
Yeah. Okay, I'll send it.
So, and very briefly, I will say my favorite Mario game is Super Mario Galaxy 2, just because I think Galaxy's so nearly at the top for me. But 2, they had everything laid out. They had a framework, and they were just like, just go mad. Just do what you want. Yoshi, chuck him in. Yeah, Cloud, whatever. They just turned everything to 11, and it was, to me, that is the biggest example of Nintendo themselves having fun. And I think that is so core to the philosophy of that game and the way it works. And I just think it's perfection with a cherry on top in my eyes. Though I will say Super Mario World is the best 2D game ever made. What I would like to say, what I was talking about earlier with you just mentioned a new 2D Mario game. You're absolutely right. They need a new art style. We need something like Rayman Legends with Ubi art. Or we need like a NES throwback like Shovel Knight. There's so many ways they could go with it. They could go strict old school pixel art. They could go
it's like you were saying before about getting the community involved. If they put a call out, half of these indies now, these platformers, are inspired by Mario.
Exactly. I was just about to say they should do a Sonic Mania for Mario. Absolutely do that. All mixed up Super Mario World levels with Super Mario Brothers 3, and it'd be amazing.
Again, NES Remix did a lot of this stuff.
That's not too far out of the realm of possibility, because if you look at like Cadence of Hyrule, for example, they've lent the Zelda IP to an indie developer.
Yeah.
So that could even be something that they're working on currently. So hope, fingers crossed they. But I think it's time for a bit of a change with the new Super Mario Brothers formula.
I mean, it could as well be kind of what they've been fielding for with Super Mario Maker 1 and 2, is they have been putting it out to the community and being like, oh, go on, then you do better. And people have literally made better levels than Nintendo have made 2D for quite some time. So I think what would be super interesting is if they reached out to some of the better Super Mario Maker level designers as well, and we're like, okay, we're going to make a pixel art, Mario game. Please contribute. Like that is something I would love to see. I watch a lot of Game Grumps, and I don't know if anyone knows like Ross O'Donovan and that, who's now made a career of making shit post Mario levels. Yeah. Like I love it. And really
he did that Undertale one, didn't he? Which was just mental.
He's basically built the Undertale mechanics in Mario Maker. If anyone wants to check that out, he's at YouTube at Rubber Ross, and he is incredible. And I don't think I've got too many Mario tidbits around. Well, I've got a couple. So when I was 18, which is a long time ago now, I went to New York in a drama trip with my college, and I bought this in New York. This is a Mario Pez dispenser, and being the nerd I am, I've just never opened it, and now it's gone so far. I'm like, it'd be weird now. It's probably gross.
Those Pez would last forever though, because it's just sugar, isn't it? So if it comes to a nuclear fallout, at least you've got something. Yeah.
Wouldn't open it. I've got my lovely little Mario's 30th anniversary amiibo, which is a great one. I don't have the later color counterpart, unfortunately. I've just got the one. And
that one there.
Oh, have you got it? And as well, I'm dressed in entire Mario attire. I don't know if you've seen I'm wearing the Donkey Kong.
That's a lovely one, that, yeah.
And then this incredible charity shop find.
Oh, that is good.
That is a stunner.
That is good. That is one
cool
of my
Mario.
That's one of my favorite Mario, like official pieces of Mario artwork, apart from the which is now not canon because we've seen Mario shirtless in Odyssey. But do you remember when they did the tribal tattoo of or the tribal tattoo design for the SP, and it's just Mario with a massive tribal tattoo.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I literally showed that to my girlfriend yesterday because we were in a retro gaming shop and they had that SP with a tribal tattoo on, and she was like, "That's mad! They put tribal tattoo on a Game Boy." And I was like, "Did you see the advert?"
in canon, Mario's had that either later removed or it's not canon. I
That was a
like
drunk
to believe
mistake.
that it was Lay's. Yeah, I like to believe it was Lay's and removal.
Wonder if
Why he
Warriors
needs all
got
those gold
tattoos.
coins. Laser removal.
Warrior's got them all over his body.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see Warrior topless. I'd be up for that. Oh God, let's not, I don't want to start this sort of nonsense. Right. So I will call it there, guys. This has been a wonderful podcast. I think we've talked a lot about how good Mario is. I hope people don't think we've been too down on the 3D All-Stars collection. It is still 3 of the best games ever made, and Mario himself. Big old happy birthday. We've got loads more good stuff coming up for the rest of the year. We've got Super Mario 35. We've got Mario Kart Live. We've got Super Mario 3D World. We've got even more stuff. I'm losing my mind now. So it's a really good time to celebrate Mario, and I'm very happy with this collection. So yeah, thank you for sitting for well over an hour and talking to me about it. It's been wonderful, chaps. Where can people find you all online on Twitter and stuff if you want to share your own details? John, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at John S. Reid. I also have a YouTube channel kicking off, so you'll find the links there as well. But I haven't got enough followers for Vanity URL. Follow me, guys. So yes, plug. Yep, Twitter and Twitch is the main place. Check it out there.
Lovely stuff. Benjamin?
Yeah, just Twitter for me at a special hell. That's where I live.
Nice. And Ethan, where can we find you?
Again on Twitter, my handle is at https Ethan Games, which is I know it doesn't roll off the tongue, but that's the URL of my website. So if you want to go there, you can. Or most importantly, you may be able to find me in Ninty Fresh issue 2, which you can go and back now, can't you, on Kickstarter?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Or in Twitch Player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will be the first, because we recorded the last one last week. So this will be the first Switch Player podcast since the Kickstarter campaign for Ninty Fresh 2. So if you have either read the first one, or if you're a fan of Switch Player, or just a Nintendo fan, and if you're not, why are you listening? Go check out our Kickstarter for Ninty Fresh issue 2, because we made a really lovely magazine, and we're only going to go and make another one. We want to smash our targets. We've already fully backed it by, I think we're near to 10,000 already, aren't we?
We are just about there. It's nearly 400% funded already, and we've got a long way to go yet. So we're hitting massive stretch goals, and it's going to be a bigger and better magazine.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we get, I think our big old goal is 20,000, and that means we only get to make even more pages in there. We get to pay great journalists and great Nintendo analysts and stuff to do more features for us, a bit more art, so that the bigger and better this campaign gets, the better the eventual product is going to be. So yeah, go check it out. I'll put all the links, I'll put them in the description. We'll get it all sorted. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. This has been Switch Player Magazine's kind of Mario special of this week in Nintendo Land, and we will see you in the next podcast soon. And thanks for joining me, guys, as well.
It's an absolute pleasure. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Nice. Bye-bye.